Alright, y'all. So, y'all asked me to make a video about my labor and delivery. So, alright. It started on September 13th or whatever. And I was leaving my mom's house because I was having contractions, but like I thought it was Braxton Hicks contractions. And I was telling my mama, yeah, he banging his head on my uterus or whatever. You know, I gotta pee all the time. The whole time, my water was breaking. I didn't even know it. And I got home. Mind you, I had my dog. My dog kept running back and forth through the house or whatever. And she was just trying to, barking at me, like, leave the house, like, she wasn't even telling me, like, she was running out the door, literally. So when she did that, the last time, like, I had a strong contraction, like, it was back to back after that. And she started barking like crazy, so I was like, what's going on? So I called my boyfriend, I was like, let's go. I didn't even give him time to get ready, like, nothing. I just drove straight to the hospital or whatever. So when I got to the hospital or whatever, I started bleeding in the seat. And that's when I got nervous. And so I started screaming or whatever, and I told my boyfriend to hurry up, because then the contractions was super strong. Like, literally, I could have had my baby in the seat, but contractions got super strong. And I started bleeding all down my legs in a wheelchair. And when I went to the hospital, like inside the hospital, they would deliver the suites or whatever. I met the nurses at the gate, or at the door or whatever, and they were like, what's wrong? And I just kept telling them, like, I'm bleeding and it's coming in strong. I think my water broke. And they're like, oh my God, I heard placenta erupted. And I'm like, what? Am I gonna be okay? And they were like, yeah, you're gonna be okay, don't worry. And I was trying not to. The whole time, like, I was having contractions. I'm telling them, like, get me in the room now. Like, I feel like I gotta, use the bathroom. And when I got in the room, I was still bleeding. They took all my clothes off. They threw my underwear away because my underwear was ruined. My gown was ruined. So I was in the hospital with barely nothing. So okay. So they started doing ultrasounds and stuff just to make sure he was okay. And when they look on the ultrasound, they kept whispering to each other. I'm like, tell me what's wrong, and they wouldn't. So my boyfriend's getting mad. He's like, at this point, like, what's going on? Like, is my baby okay? And I'm like, I felt him banging on my, my uterus. And then they were like, yeah, he was moving a lot, and then all of a sudden he had no heartbeat. And the doctor was rude, period. Like, they didn't take me serious. Like, the nurses took me more serious than the doctors. And when I got in there, I started bleeding really bad again. And they just started giving me medicine to calm me down. They put me to sleep. They started giving me medicine to take my blood pressure down, because my blood pressure literally got up to 200. And mind you, I went to that hospital more than one time due to my blood pressure being high. And they told me I was fine. They kept sending me back home. Even the doctors kept sending me back home from my doctor's appointment and stuff like that. I showed them my feet, like, everything looked bad. And They just wouldn't listen to me. And I knew something was wrong. So, went to sleep for that whole night. Like, I literally didn't feel nothing. After my epidural, I was out for the whole night. And then I woke up that morning, I could not see. I'm like, why can't I see? I'm just trying to figure out why can't I see. When the way my vision was doing, like, everybody looked funny. Even though I was like laughing and joking the whole time to keep my mind off things, like, I was worried. That's the most thing that frustrated me, because I was worried. And through the day, they was like, yeah, your vision should start coming back around 12 o'clock, because the magnesia, it does that. That's a side effect of it. And come 2 o'clock, nothing. Like, I think 12 o'clock, nothing changed. Come 2 o'clock, my mom was there with me, my boyfriend's there with me. They start giving me like liquid, like Jello and water. I couldn't eat ice because my blood was thin, but they kept giving me water and Jello. And I wasn't supposed to eat that. So the whole time I threw up the Jello, they come rushing in the door. Like, oh my gosh, she's throwing up. The first sign that was wrong with me should have been my eyesight, not me throwing up. So, still, mind you, my baby is still inside of me. Yeah, 2:30, they were like, so we're gonna send you down to labor. No, they told me that they were gonna send me down to labor and delivery, and then they took me down to labor and delivery around 4 o'clock. I mean, not labor, ICU, I'm sorry. They told me they were gonna send me to ICU because my case was super bad. My kidneys were failing, I was bleeding out, my eyesight's gone, and I was literally bad. And when I got to the ICU, all these doctors rushing, like, everybody's in here, the ICU doctors, the nurses, and my mom and my boyfriend kept taking turns coming in the room. So my boyfriend's in here at the time, and then the doctor's like, let me put this IV in your neck, and I'm like, why? I'm like, no, and I'm literally trying to fight them, like, no, you're not putting it in my neck. And they're like, that's the only way we can get an IV in your arm, your body, and to get blood transfusion in there. And so they had like 5 different needles in my, like, IVs in my arm. I still got the scar, I think, on my hand. Wait, if you can see it. Well, yeah, right here. That was where the IV was, and it wasn't doing anything. And then they did the one. They did the one in my arm right here, and they did one right here, and then that's when they went to my neck. I have 2 scars up here by my neck, but they put the IV in there. That was the worst pain ever. And when they put that in there, they started rushing blood in there. And mind you, that thing hurts really bad. So I'm in there crying while they're doing it. And so here comes 6 o'clock. I started feeling like pressure in my butt. Like, it was bad. Like, I felt like I had to use the bathroom. So I'm telling them, like, I gotta fart. Like, I feel like I gotta fart. And when I did, I felt like his head or whatever. So I'm like, no, she's like, yeah, put your legs up, it's time. I'm like, time for what? She felt his head, and his head was all the way down there. So 6:10, I started pushing. I pushed one time because I really couldn't, like, feel my body. So I tried the best I could. So I pushed one time, and it said it came through my cervix. I pushed twice. I pushed the second time. That was at 6:14, and his whole body came out. And my boyfriend cut his umbilical cord, and here's come the worst part: seeing my baby. That's actually when my eyesight started coming back. As soon as I delivered my baby, my eyesight came back. And that was like the worst pain ever. And that's the end of the story.